guys, first of all, huge congratulations last weekend. It was an incredible performance by an incredible horse. Just talk to us a little bit about how much that meant to you, and the fact that he, from what he's done so far and the amount of miles he's traveled, over 11,000 miles, what he's achieved. I think Saturday was just the pinnacle and something very, very special. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think for us, Tracy, the Champion Stakes is a huge race for a British trainer, and on a huge stage, albeit nobody was there, or few people were there. It happened to be the most valuable race run in Britain this year. And for him to win, and win comprehensively, it never really looked to us in doubt. And, you know, the horse, ever since Royal Ascot last year, and probably ever since he started using your product, has gone from strength to strength, and he has become extremely consistent at the age of 6, and obviously highlighted by the 2 wins in Australia. And then he ran a very good race at Royal Ascot, won his prep and won the Champion Stakes. So we can't be anything but have huge admiration for the horse and for everything that comes with that.
Obviously, your main danger was Magical, who beat him last year, and you felt that Magical was going to be the one to beat. But as you said there earlier on, he did this so comprehensively. He's 6 years old. He's been all over the place. To still have that, well, not all just the mental ability, but physically to be able to do what he did. And some of the shots I've seen of him, sort of the close-up photographs, I mean, he's in absolutely immaculate condition. It's obviously a combination of mental and physical to do what he's done after the rigors of the travel and the races that he's been involved in.
Well, I mean, Maureen will know better, but for me, he took the travelling really, really well. I mean, that's been we were expecting him to be much more tired, jaded, whatever the expression is, and we felt that we ought to be turning him away. But he came back absolutely bouncing. And that's why we headed to Royal Ascot. We didn't, we had a horse came back full of confidence, looking great, feeling great, and we're thinking, well, what the hell are we turning him out for? Because the plan had always been the Champion Stakes and the back-end races, and possibly going back there again next year. And Royal Ascot came along because he was in great form, and it did rain. Unfortunately, Wednesday was probably the driest day of the week at Ascot this year. Thursday was the wettest, and he ran on Wednesday. But he does like the cut in the ground, and you have to prepare your horse accordingly. And we had a year 2 years ago when we were training him, and he wasn't running on ground that wasn't suitable, and he had a very disappointing year. We've got wise to that now, and we prepare him knowing that the conditions are likely to be in his favour, not certain, and act accordingly. And if he only has 4 races a year, so what? If he has 4 good races and wins 1 or 2 of them, yippee.
Yeah, absolutely. When he was doing all that travelling, he was taking the full recovery in his food. And did you give him more, or did you just stick to the same regime as you've always stuck to when he's at home, Maureen?
We stuck to the same regime as he's always stuck to, but not only did he have the travelling to Australia, they had to go into quarantine 2 weeks before at a place which wasn't really very conducive to training, because it was outside of Newmarket and they had to box in every day. the only place they could exercise was the Albahathry where they normally gallop. So it was quite stressful for them. We had 2 horses and they were both on it. And they, considering they had that, and then they had the long journey, and then quarantine the other end, they actually settled into their routine and their eating routine when they landed in Australia surprisingly quickly.
I remember when he came back and we were talking, and you couldn't get over how well he looked and how well he was in himself after that long journey.
Well, we didn't do well, but we were lucky to get him back because of the COVID situation. I think if he'd been owned by anybody other than Sheikh Ahmed, who obviously is a member of the Dubai royal family and has Jannah at their disposal, I don't think we'd ever have got him back. But Jannah moved heaven and earth to get him back. And he had a long journey. He came back, when he went down, he was lucky enough to have Des Layden on the plane with him and professional flying grooms. Coming back, we didn't have any of that because it was a last minute thing. We couldn't get any flying grooms out there. So our 2 boys, who were both brilliant, flew back with him and looked after him. And when he got off the box here in Newmarket after traveling for 32 hours, he literally bounced down the yard and I couldn't believe it. And I kept thinking, well, he's going to dip in a minute. He's going to dip. Yeah. And just day after day, he just got fresher and fresher, and I actually rode him for a couple of days after he got back, and he was so fresh. I had to give him to someone else to ride who was bigger and stronger than me because he was going to buck me off.
Yeah, it's incredible. He's something else, and of course he likes running. He likes running when he's fresh as well. I mean, you're never afraid to give him nice big breaks.
No, I think that's key, and. We were toying with the idea of running him Arc Weekend in the Dollar, which was only 2 weeks before Champions Day, and we decided against it and went for what you would think to be a soft option in a listed race with a large penalty at Addeybb. But it was the timing that was important, to get that race into him and then not have to train him that hard. He did a beautiful piece of work about 10 days before Ascot. When I say a beautiful piece of work, he doesn't do beautiful pieces of work, but his stride length was quite amazing at 8.14 meters, which is, we've only ever had one other go over 8 meters galloping. And that was a horse called Mutakea, for See the Stars horse, who was a pretty useful horse.
Yeah.
Won a few Group 2s, never actually won a Group 1, he was placed in Group 1s. He did his last furlong in that gallop in 10.84, which for a lazy bugger like him was a pretty phenomenal achievement. So we knew he was in pretty good shape going to Ascot, and throughout the day, we're not confident like that, not to outsiders anyway, but to ourselves, we knew that we couldn't have had him in better condition. Whether that was good enough to win the race was another thing. But most trainers will agree that if you're really happy with a horse's condition before any race, never mind a Group 1 like that, then invariably they put up special performances. And I take everyone's view about Magical. She possibly got a bit far back. I don't think the lead horse, Serpentine, went fast enough and didn't spread them out enough. She's a magnificent filly, and she beat us comfortably last year. But last year it was so wet they raced on the inner track, which I think didn't suit us. We were on the main outer track this year. Okay, it was soft, but that's what it is in October in England. And our horse had his day in the sun, which was great.
Of course, we have to mention Tom. He had him perfectly positioned throughout. I mean, it was a wonderful performance by him as a jockey, and such a young guy.
Yeah, from a not a great draw either, 11.
Very wide draw, absolutely.
As it turned out, they raced off the fence. So, but he jumped well, and he showed good early speed to get into a good position, and was then able to just travel round. But no, he gave him a lovely ride, and he knows him now really well, and has great confidence in him.
And he came out of that race well, again, bounced back?
Yeah, he's great.
He seems to be great.
I mean, he came out the yard the next day, trotted out the yard. He didn't look like he'd had a race. And he thinks he's top dog.
Well, he is, isn't he? Can I ask you what the plan is next, or have you come up with anything definite?
Well, it's difficult, Tracy. It's really difficult because, we're either going to go to Australia, and COVID will sort this one out for us probably. We'd like to go to Australia. We also have the option of the Saudi Gold Cup, which is a hugely valuable race. The dirt track there is the best track I've ever seen live, and it does favour horses that don't like fast ground. And they always say soft ground horses have a good record on that track. I'm not sure about that, but it's a good track and there's a lot of money, and he's at his peak now. He's rising 7. He's got, if we're lucky, a good year in him. So we've got to think where we're going to go. This side of Christmas, I've put him in Hong Kong, but Maureen's not keen, and probably rightly so, but I put him in as an option because even a horse that is fresh, it's a long time from mid-October to mid-March or end of February. He's also in, and I'm pretty certain he won't go, he's in an Italian Group 2, can't see the point of that, on the 8th of November. I do think, though, we think that he's probably better going right-handed. Okay. And his best form has been at Ascot, and obviously Sydney's right-handed and Melbourne's left, which is why he didn't get targeted for the Cox Plate this morning.
And is Saudi right-handed?
Sadly, it's left.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So he's pretty useful. He's won lots of times. He's won at Haydock, he won at Ayr in the Doonside Cup. But I do feel that your father has always said that horses generally favour to go one way or the other. And I've never forgotten it. He said it quite a long time ago and only mumbled it. So I had to be on my best to hear him. But I absolutely agree with what he says, and he, I'm sure, is a little bit better at going right-handed. So that's why Australia was such a favoured option last year, or this year.
And it was very elegant, who he beat twice in those 2 Group 1s at the beginning of the year in Australia. She goes and wins the Caulfield Cup, so stamps that form brilliantly.
And could win the Melbourne Cup.
Wow. Yeah, so really exciting times ahead. Listen, I'm gonna leave it there. Again, huge congratulations. He's a wonderful horse to have. Continued success, and thank you for talking to us.